Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Spanish lesson.
Feliz Navidad!
Yes, with just a few days left until Christmas, we are feeling festive. So, although today's Spanish lesson is going to be about backwards verbs, we thought it would be fun to have all of our examples be about Christmas.
That way you can learn some useful holiday vocabulary as well.
So grab your eggnog and some Christmas cookies. Let's get started.
So Jeff, what are backwards verbs?
So backwards verbs work differently than regular verbs in Spanish. With these verbs, the subject is the thing or person that's causing the action, and the person affected by the action is represented by an indirect object pronoun.
So it's backwards from what we're used to in English.
Now, the most well-known and popular backwards verb is the verb gustar. And although it technically means to be pleasing to, we use it to express that we like something. You'll see how it works in this example here. If you want to say, I like Christmas carols, you don't say,
Yo gusto los villancicos.
You need to say that Christmas carols are pleasing to me.
Me gustan los villancicos.
So in this structure, the carols are the subject and you're the person being affected. See how that's backwards?
But grammatically, how are backwards verbs different?
So backwards verbs are different in two ways. First of all, they require an indirect object pronoun.
And we do have a lesson on indirect object pronouns that you can check out here after you finish watching this lesson. But for a quick review, the Spanish indirect object pronouns are me, te, le, nos, os, and les.
And two, the verb is conjugated based on the subject, the thing causing the action, not the person experiencing it.
So here we can see its grammatical formula.
So let's review. In Spanish, when dealing with backwards verbs, the subject or action of the sentence comes at the end, and the object, the person who likes or doesn't like it, comes at the beginning. So it's opposite from English. When the subject is a noun, we need to put an article in front of it. Me gusten los villancicos. But we don't add an article when our subject is an action, like me gusta cantar villancicos. And because the thing a person likes or doesn't like is the subject, we're always going to conjugate the verb into the third person singular or plural.
So for gustar, we'll use gusta if it's singular and gustan if it's plural.
Now, you could hear other conjugations with any of the verbs that we're going to see today when we're referring to people, like me gustas, which would mean you are pleasing to me or I like you romantically.
Or le gusto, which means I'm pleasing to him or he likes me romantically.
But in this video, we're just going to stick to the subject being an action or a thing. The verb will be in the third person, singular or plural, because that's the case 90% of the time.
So let's see one example with a singular subject, one example with a plural subject, and one example with an action being the subject.
So if we wanted to say, I like Christmas.
Me gusta la Navidad.
So Christmas is singular, so we get gusta. But if we said, we like the decorations.
Nos gustan los adornos.
So decorations, it's plural, so we get gustan. And if we get, I like to watch the Nutcracker Ballet every year.
Me gusta ver el ballet del cascanueces todos los años.
So here we have an action as the subject, ver, and that's why we use the singular form, gusta.
Okay, now let's see some of the most common and useful backwards verbs.
So our second backwards verb is going to be encantar. And encantar works just like gustar, but expresses a bit more sentiment. So instead of meaning is pleasing to me, it means like is enchanting to me. And we use it when we want to express that we love doing something. For example, my mom loves hanging the Christmas wreath on the front door.
A mi mamá le encanta colgar la guirnalda en la puerta de la entrada.
So in this sentence, although we expressed to love to do something, the backwards literal translation would be hanging the Christmas wreath on the front door is enchanting to my mom. Let's see another one. They love decorating with candles and ornaments.
Les encanta decorar con velas y ornamentos.
Or, do you love preparing food for Christmas Eve?
¿Te encanta preparar comida para la Nochebuena? Our next backwards verb is Fascinar, which means to fascinate.
So if we wanted to say something like, it fascinates me to read the story of Santa Claus.
Me fascina leer la historia de Papá Noel.
But our backwards literal translation would be like, the story of Santa Claus is fascinating to me. Or we could say, children are fascinated by seeing houses illuminated with bright lights.
A los niños les fascina ver las casas alumbradas con luces brillantes.
Or, we are fascinated by the flying reindeer that pull the sleigh.
Nos fascinan los renos voladores que jalan el trineo.
Our next backwards verb is molestar, which means to bother or to annoy. So we could have something like, the plastic decorations bother me.
Me molestan las esferas de plástico.
So our backwards literal translation would be like, the plastic decorations are annoying to me. And nothing changes in our structure if we want to turn the sentence negative. So if we had something like, the noise of the firecrackers doesn't bother them.
A ellos no les molesta el ruido de los cohetes.
Does buying and wrapping so many gifts bother you?
¿Te molesta comprar y envolver tantos regalos?
So we've seen before that when we have an action after our backwards verb, it's going to be in the third person singular. Here we see that we have comprar and envolver after molestar. But this does not make it plural. We still use the third person singular molesta. Okay, here's a good time to stop and remind you all to please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you still haven't, and head over to Buy Me a Coffee where you can donate to the channel and give us that caffeinated energy we need to keep making these videos to help you all improve your Spanish.
And don't forget, Jeff, we also have memberships now, and you can become a member of our community and receive extra benefits being an amigo or a primo. And we'll leave those links in the description of this video. Our next backwards verb is interesar, which means to interest.
So we could say something like, I'm interested in knowing how the elves work.
Me interesa saber cómo trabajan los duendes.
So our literal backwards translation would be like, knowing how the elves work is interesting to me. Or, my aunt was interested in learning Christmas dessert recipes.
A mi tía le interesaba aprender recetas de postres navideños.
Are you interested in going to the posada on Friday?
¿Te interesa ir el viernes a la posada?
So, if you all don't know, a posada is an inn or a budget-style hotel. But in this case, it can also mean a party that happens 9 days before Christmas. So it's anytime between December 16th and December 24th. They are a lot of fun and usually involve a piñata. And here you can see a quick clip of Darcy giving it her best shot. Okay, our next backwards verb is aburrir, or to bore. So we could say something like, it bores me to wait for Santa Claus to arrive.
Me aburre esperar a que llegue Papá Noel.
Or, my uncle gets bored decorating gingerbread cookies.
A mi tío le aburre decorar galletas de jengibre.
Or, the same Christmas movies bore me every year.
Me aburren las mismas películas de Navidad cada año. The next one is importar, which means to matter or to care about.
So we could say something like, I care a lot about being with my family on Christmas.
Me importa pasar la Navidad con mi familia.
My grandparents care about putting up a nativity scene.
A mis abuelos les importa poner un nacimiento.
Or, go ahead, you can break the piñata. I don't mind.
Adelante. Tú puedes romper la piñata. No me importa.
Our next backwards verb is doler, which means to hurt. So you could say something like, does it hurt you knowing that you have to work on Christmas Day?
¿Te duele saber que tienes que trabajar el día de Navidad?
Our stomachs hurt from the combination of eating turkey, salad, romeritos, and cod.
Nos dolió el estómago por la combinación de comer pavo, ensalada, romeritos y bacalao.
Does it hurt you that you don't have enough money to donate to those in need?
¿Te duele no tener suficiente dinero para donar a los necesitados? The next backwards verb is sorprender, which means to surprise.
So we could say something like, you were surprised that we all arrived wearing Christmas hats.
Te sorprendió que todos llegáramos con gorros navideños.
Does it surprise you to receive a Christmas card?
¿Te sorprende recibir una tarjeta navideña?
I'm surprised by so many well-dressed snowmen with caps, sweaters, and carrot noses.
Me sorprenden tantos muñecos de nieve bien vestidos con sombrero, suéter y nariz de zanahoria.
And that's it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you still haven't, and have a very Merry Christmas.
And now watch this video to keep improving your Spanish.
Feliz Navidad!